The lifecycle of Battlefield 2042 is slowly coming to an end, but the next title is already in development, and even though we don't know any specific details on its setting or gameplay mechanics yet, there are a few things we do know and that were already officially confirmed. So today I want to go through all of this and sum it up for you. So first of all, there is the time frame for the release. For a long time now, there were discussions and rumors about when the next Battlefield game will be released. Many people were hoping for a 2024 launch, because Battlefield 2042's content is getting thinner and thinner, but since we hadn't heard anything about this from one of the official channels, and EA had stated in summer 2023 that the next game is still in pre-production, a 2024 release was getting more and more unlikely. And during the latest EA earnings call that was held this week, this was finally confirmed. Because during the call, CEO Andrew Wilson and Vice President Stuart Canfield stated that the next Battlefield game won't be part of their fiscal year 2025. For EA, this fiscal year starts on April 1st, 2024 and ends on March 31st, 2025. So between these dates, we won't see the release of any new Battlefield title. But they also confirmed that they're looking for iconic new releases like Battlefield and other in-development titles beyond fiscal year 2025, which means we can expect to see a new game at the earliest in April 2025. But since Battlefield releases usually happen during the holiday season, I wouldn't expect the next game before November. And I think this is a very likely time frame. First of all, because of the statement that they were in pre-production in 2023, which means they worked out the concept for the game, the setting, its modes, its core gameplay features and so on, but before the actual programming started. And then getting into the full development process and completing it with all testing, etc. will definitely take another 2 years. So I assume they have finished pre-production late last year and are now in full development. So a 2024 release never really made any sense, at least not after this statement. 2025 has always been a lot more likely and seems to be confirmed now with the statement in the earnings call. Then again, beyond fiscal year 2025 could also mean we won't see the next game before 2026. But I honestly don't think and also don't hope that they will take down the franchise for such a long time. Of course, I also don't want another rushed and unfinished product like 2042 that needs months and months and countless of hours of work to bring it back on track, and I also don't think the franchise in general would survive another launch like this. I know the Battlefield series has a long history of difficult and tumultuous launches, and they always manage to bring these games back and even turn them from a disaster into a masterpiece. The best example is probably Battlefield 4, but maybe it's time to break with this tradition and aim for a better launch right from the start. I've already went into this topic a bit more in a former video, so be sure to check it out in the info box if that's interesting for you. However, during the earnings call, Andrew Wilson also stated that they're making investments in the future of the Battlefield franchise and that their exceptional teams from multiple world-class studios are working with cutting-edge Frostbite technology to build an expansive, community-focused Battlefield universe for fans. And I know words and promises like this give a lot of players PTSD from former releases, where we heard the exact same phrases and exaggerated statements just to find ourselves with a messy game only a few months later. But this is mainly business talk to try and convince the investors that everything is alright and the development is going well, allegedly. For us as players, this is nothing we can really take anything from, and we also shouldn't fall for it and rush out to pre-order the game once the first trailer has dropped, no matter how good it looks like. Anyways, 3 points in this statement are still interesting. First of all, that multiple studios are working on the title. Secondly, that they are working with cutting-edge Frostbite technology, and that they are building an expansive, community-focused Battlefield universe. And this is interesting because it takes me to the next point of this video. The next Battlefield might be developed with a completely new Frostbite engine. They had already built a new version for Battlefield 2042 back then, which reduced the development time for the actual game, since the time it took to develop the engine was a lot longer than previously expected, and at the end the engine couldn't really hold up with former games in terms of visuals and destruction, at least from the point of view as a player. But we might see a new version for the next Battlefield title again, and here are 2 points in favor of this theory. First, the Frostbite Engine got a full rebrand and logo redesign in December 2023, which is usually done if there is a new version and not simply somewhere in between. And while this might seem a minor change, it is actually a big deal because this hasn't happened for 10 years. The Frostbite Engine was first introduced by DICE for Battlefield Bad Company 1 in 2008 and made it possible to add this all-new level of destruction to the game. Since then, it underwent several iterations and versions, with the latest one most likely being released in December 2023 alongside its new logo. And by now, the engine is not only used for Battlefield, but also powers most other franchises of EA, like Dead Space or the EA Sports games. And that's also why the new logo is quite different from the former ones, because it's supposed to reflect EA's partnership with its teams and creators instead of the ability of the engine to power destructible environments, like it did before with the Shattered Hand, for example. And while this might not sound good to Battlefield players, here's where the second point comes into play, because alongside this rebrand of the Frostbite logo, the studio Ripple Effect, that is also working on the new Battlefield game and grew from the former DICE LA studio, is looking for a visual effects director. And the description for the job specifically says that they are looking for a senior 3D artist to help create the most realistic and exciting destruction effects in the industry. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to bring full destruction to the next EA Sports title. So this seems to hint towards higher detailed destruction mechanics for the next Battlefield game again, which is something that had defined the franchise for a long time and something that fans of the series want to see return. Preferably with a level of destruction that was teased back then in this trailer that got us all so hyped for Battlefield 2042, just to find out that the game itself has little to zero destruction. But maybe with a new engine and more powerful PCs and consoles, this finally becomes reality in Battlefield 2025. Moving on to the third point we already know about the next title, and these are the studios that are working on it and for which part of the game they are responsible. And right now these are 4 studios: DICE, Ripple Effect, Ridgeline Games and Criterion. In late 2022, we already learned that the newly founded studio Ridgeline Games in Seattle is working on a single-player campaign for Battlefield under the lead of industry veteran Marcos Ledo, who is one of the creators of the Halo universe. And I guess these were the first good news we heard about the next title, because it will finally have a single-player campaign again, and apparently they did take their time to gather a good and experienced team to create it. We also know that they are developing a narrative set in the Battlefield universe, which might hint to another modern setting revolving around an already existing storyline. So probably in the same way 2042 uses the story of Battlefield 4 as a foundation. We also know that DICE Stockholm is working on the multiplayer experience again, and that Ripple Effect, the studio that was formerly known as DICE LA, is focused on creating an entirely new experience that will complement and build upon the series' foundation. But for this new mode or part of the game, we still don't know anything, and I'm pretty sure they will try to keep this a secret for as long as possible. I'm personally guessing it will be another extraction mode like Hazard Zone, because after the Battle Royale hype, extraction shooters seem to be the next big thing. But maybe they also have something completely different up their sleeves. I'm also hoping to see Portal being included again, maybe in a 2.0 version that connects all the old titles with a new one and also brings back some of the good old eras and maps. However, so far there are no hints whether Portal will be continued or not, but I think it would be a wasted opportunity to scrap it after 2042. Criterion, the 4th studio I had mentioned and that is mainly responsible for Battlefront, Burnout and Need for Speed, started supporting the other teams in the second half of 2023, but it didn't sound like they are specifically developing another part of the game. What we also know from several posts and earnings calls is that they are aiming for a so-called connected ecosystem with the new title, which further highlights the expansive community-focused Battlefield universe that Andrew Wilson was talking about in the last earnings call. So it sounds like they're planning something really big for the future of Battlefield and something that will last much longer than only 2 or 3 years. Maybe a setting that will evolve over time with several years of seasonal content, similar to Apex Legends for example. example, but always based on the same game. And knowing that there are so many studios working on this game and its different parts speaks for this. Maybe we will even see ports for mobile and Nintendo Switch to give players the opportunity to play Battlefield wherever they want and with whatever platform they want, and still progress further with the weapons, ranks and battle passes. Not with cross-play between all of these platforms, of course, but with a full cross-progression system. This could make the franchise and Battlefield as a brand a lot bigger and a lot more attractive for a larger player base. We know that a mobile title was in development but was cancelled last year. However, I don't think it was fully scrapped, because back then they stated that the development was stopped because it didn't fit the direction of the franchise anymore, so maybe we will see the return of Battlefield Mobile with the next title. To sum it up real quick, what we know so far is that the next Battlefield game will very likely be released between late 2025 and early 2026, that it might be built with a new Frostbite engine that features a large-scale destruction again, that we can expect to see a single-player campaign alongside the classic multiplayer, and a new experience that we don't know anything about yet. We know that multiple studios all across the world are working on it, and that EA always points out that the next game will be a large connected ecosystem, whatever that means. But that's it for today. I hope this video was interesting for you, and if you enjoyed it, be sure to drop a like or a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching, and thanks to my members for the additional support. I'm the Catwoman, and you are awesome.